So I built a sales playbook. Then I created a digital product. Then I started selling the digital product.
There are multiple roles that the sales team has, right? You may need a sales development representative to do the cold calls. You need account executive. You need pre-sales if it's a SaaS solution. How do you prioritize hiring for these roles, or how do you recommend that people should prioritize hiring for these roles?
When it comes to sales organization, the first step before setting up a sales organization is founder-led sales. So founder-led sales, there is a reason it's called founder-led sales. It should be done by founder. Your personal finance shouldn't affect or interfere with the journey. Just like how I'm traveling from Bangalore to Hyderabad, you have enough budget for you to travel from there to there. Especially sales and finance are two core elements that any entrepreneur actually requires.
Correct.
Hi, I'm your host Pamela from Bangalore, India, and you're tuned into Season 2 of Transition Story. You're about to hear an enriching story driven by self-belief, passion, a lot of resilience, and personal growth. I'm so excited to welcome our next guest to the show.
Thank you, Venkatesh, for joining this discussion. I'm so excited to welcome you to the show. Venkatesh, for our listeners, is a serial entrepreneur. He has helped multiple startups and B2B businesses crack the GTM and sales challenge. Right now, he's on a mission where he's building AI sales playbooks tailored for multiple industries, leveraging AI agents to simplify and accelerate B2B sales. So it's going to be a very enriching conversation for me, as I have taken my first transition into sales. So Venkatesh, looking forward to this conversation. Welcome once again.
Thanks for having me, Pamela.
All right. So Venkatesh, let's start with a little bit about your first startup experience. You are a serial entrepreneur, and having known that, it would be lovely to learn from you. What were your biggest lessons learned in the first entrepreneurship experience?
A lot of lessons, but if I have to nail down to the one thing, which is to identify your biggest strengths, that really helped me to build multiple ventures fast and also exits fast.
Okay. So your first startup, tell us a little bit about your first startup. What was it into?
It is a solar energy company. Since my studies are into material science, I'm a material science engineer. I had a bit of a background about solar panels and how solar systems works and all. That actually pulled my interest towards like, hey, how to start a solar energy company or how to start a solar manufacturing company. That's where it started. So then I started my venture. It's called Red Solar with a very easy to entry. I studied the entire value chain of the whole industry. So I have picked one place where there is a less investment and easy to start, where I can actually execute things with the capabilities and skill set I have. So we used to do solar installations for residential houses, commercial buildings, hospitals, educational institutions, and industries, ranging from a 3 kilowatt solar system to even 500 kilowatt solar systems.
Wow. And with which year was this?
It was 2016.
2016. Okay, that's still pretty early for solar as a subject.
It is, yeah, very early.
Yeah. And so you said your biggest learning from that venture was you identified your strength. And what was that strength that you identified?
I had a hypothesis that, I think it happens in most of our careers that after you finish your bachelor's and master's, when you hit the real world, you realize that, oh, this is not what I want, right? That I had the same experience like many professionals. When I realized that I reached the wrong destination after 23 years, I just want to rewrite the entire story and I want to rebuild my identity that I fell in love with. So I had a hypothesis that I might be good at sales because of people skills I have, the networking skills I have, and I'm genuinely interested in people. So I felt I'm good at people trust me and people like me are, some of the signals I noticed. So I had a hypothesis that I might be good at selling. Why not pursue this skill as my career, right? It is, this ikigai moment, right? What you are good at and what you get paid for, and how do you make money, all of these things, right? Then I saw there is some kind of pattern drawing me to this particular skill. But all of a sudden, if you ask for a sales job when you are in, okay, this is when I was in US actually. So if you ask for a sales job, and it is pretty hard for you to get a sales job without an MBA when you are on F1 visa. So I made a decision to come back to India and start a company for me to become the salesperson.
Okay, excellent. So you created your own ecosystem to give yourself the job that you wanted to do. Very, very motivational and inspirational, I would say. There would be like you were being a serial entrepreneur, you were founding multiple companies, getting timely exits. What was that pivotal moment that led you to decide that you want to help other founders as a fractional, executive?
Okay, this was my second venture. I started a company called Medvisor. It is like a price intelligence platform for medicines, where we want to give access to the people who can find the alternative medicines, like generic medicines, at 1/10 of prices, right? But within 9 months, I realized that I'm not a founder to build that kind of a company, in especially in healthcare and pharmaceutical market. I had to shut it down. Then I took a job in a healthcare company as a VP sales with my domain expertise, right? That is my first job as a salesperson apart from my entrepreneurial journey. Within 3 months we have cracked deals, and enterprise deals. That has given me a bit of a confidence. And also, I noticed that I felt like I'm limiting myself working with one company. So I felt like, hey, why not actually I replicate the same system, maybe 10 different companies? Because I'm a person who can actually replicate the success formula into multiple ventures. So if it worked for this company within 3 months, why not I can actually replicate the same system for multiple companies? So I built a sales playbook. Then I created a digital product. Then I started selling the digital product in markets like UAE and US and UK. I got surprised. Wow, this is something very interesting. Whoever buys the digital product used to ask me for sales consulting. And right then I felt like, oh, this is not a bad career. Like, why not I pursue this? So yeah, right now I ended up working with a couple of companies as a fractional VP sales.
Wow, very few people take so much chances in their career. So what I see as a pattern is you have been very experimental, and while some things did not work, like your healthcare startup, but the other ventures did work. So it's a good segue into understanding, the next aspect of your career that I wanted to really double click on. What is the success formula behind the successful exits? Can you walk us through one of your stories where you had a successful exit? And what do you think made it particularly work in your case? Because many founders don't get to exit in a successful way.
Again, like you mentioned, experimental, right? Even I didn't know that I can sell a company when I started it. I didn't start my first company with the exit in mind. And right, I was actually taking inspiration from people like Tata, Reliance, like who actually builds companies for 30, hundreds of years kind of a thing. I have that in mind. Oh, if I'm an entrepreneur, if I'm getting into entrepreneurship at the age of 25, I given myself 30 years to be successful. Okay, I have 30 years of lifespan in this particular domain. I can actually become master at one skill. That one skill actually can shape business in a way that I imagine, right? So I picked only one skill, which is sales, because that is kind of a bloodline for any business, right?
Correct.
Yeah, in my first company, in the journey of building the first company, in the third year, I realized, okay, what are, first time I learned about the finances, business finances, what are the margins, what are the profits, how big the company should be and all, and the reality. Can I really be with this company for next 25 years or 30 years? Can I be in the solar energy field? I didn't get the right answer. Oh, maybe it's over. So, because a lot of factors actually involved. That is being first time entrepreneur, first generation entrepreneur. You don't have any background about the personal finance, business finance. You have
Correct.
no idea, right? Especially sales and finance are two core elements that any entrepreneur actually required.
Correct.
Not the ideas and services or products, right? Anyone can sell anything, right? But these two things I understood in the year of third year of my journey. The profits are not that great in solar energy company. You need a lot of manpower. You need a lot of dependency. So when you have so many complexities in a business, then what are we doing business for? End of the day, you need really good profits and scalability and repeatability,
Correct.
right? And the venture I started is not repeatable and scalable without good investment whenever actually we move to another city or something, right? I find as a first company, it's fine, as a learning curve. But my next company, I want to see at least 90 to 95% of net margins. I noticed that IT software industry has that. I slowly pivoted into IT, but I want to give a quick exit. But see, I think selling companies, most of the time, it's not intentional. Most of the time, they are like accidental, or you get an opportunity. Now, the exit depends on whether you get it, whether you take the choice or not.
It's
Everyone have
about,
the exits.
yeah, it's about the deal that comes your way and you pick up that offer or not. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I first sold my first company, I got shocked. Oh, you can also sell companies, not just products and services. And second exit, it's pretty clear. Last year, it happened. We came up with an idea. We observed one idea where there is a good demand. Then we built the product super fast. I took it into the market. Then we got about like 600 to 700 potential customers and paying customers, revenue of about like $1,200 MRR, and we got a deal in December and we sold it.
See, this is a part destiny, part your way of structuring the company and the business, that it becomes a good acquisition target for another organization.
If I had to actually put together in a good way, in any business, I noticed like maybe 3 or 4 stages: 0 to 1 stage, and 1 to 10, and 10 to 100, and 100 to 1,000. Let's say, as in the last 10 years, from 2016 or 2015, my entrepreneurial thoughts has started in US, and right now 2025, it's about like 10 years of a journey. I understood the fundamentals of 0 to 1. I still don't know about 1 to 10. So I noticed that it's easy for me to build 0 to 1, and which is hard for many people, very hard. It's not at all easy, right? Especially someone coming from the corporate, they cannot even imagine 0 to 1 journey, right? And they're good at 1 to 10 or 10 to 100. So it's easy for me to find someone who's it's hard for the hard journey. It might be hard. The 0 to 1 is hard, and 1 to 10 might be easy for them. I can actually build this 0 to 1 piece and sell it to them so that they can actually take it to the next level.
So that's how you said you found your strength. Your strength is to build that 0 to 1 company, and then you hand it over to people or sell it off to people who can take it to the next level, who know how to build on top of a foundation. Great. What I heard is interesting, but I also want to discuss this. You talk a lot about GTM strategy and sales in new markets, right? So, what do you think is the first few critical steps of setting up SaaS company where their GTM motion in a completely new market? So, most SaaS companies are born either in Europe or in America. They come to India or they go to Singapore or they go to Australia, New Zealand. These are completely new markets for them. They have a pricing strategy from another market. They have a template, and when they come to execute in this market, there are multiple roadblocks, right? Price sensitivity, the sales cycle. So what are those first critical steps you think are the right steps to build that? Again, it's a 0 to 1 journey in this market, right?
Yeah. Okay, let me just break it into these three challenges, three segment, right? So let's discuss about what are the common challenges and what are the common problems and what are the common opportunities in this 0 to 1 journey. So common challenge is people don't know what they don't know. They don't know about the pricing, they don't know who is the customer, they don't know the product market fit, they don't know most of the things, right? Figuring out a lot of things. The common problem is getting the first sale, profitable sale, right? And the opportunity can be building the sales processes around that, the first successful sale, and multiply it, right? In that direction, 80% of the time and energy efforts goes into the first common challenge that people face. I don't know what I don't know. The faster you figure it out, who is my ideal client, ideal customer,
Correct. The ICP.
who, right? And also, who is my immediate customer? Who is willing to pay this month or this quarter, right? Those are some of the things that one needs to figure it out as early as possible. You give a couple of weeks of a time or give a couple of months of a time, right? Then the next common problem is, how do I close this first sale? Very singular. I always go with a singular focus, right? Hey, how do I close this? Let's say if you have about 10 potential accounts, I put maybe my all 1 month time into finding out who could be my 10 potential customers whom I can close this quarter, and I choose one, so I should able to close them, right? So when you actually go with the singular focus, things become so clear. Because just imagine, I give you this analogy. You are actually traveling from one location to another location, let's say Bangalore to Hyderabad. You are going by a motorcycle. Okay? If someone wants to ride with you, it's easy for you to make the decision whether to pick them or not. To communicate with them, hey, this is the way, this is the path I'm actually going from Bangalore to Hyderabad. This is the path, right? Now imagine if you are actually having a transport, like let's say a luxury bus. Now, if you have 100 people in that bus, it is very hard to actually communicate with all 100 people where you are going and where it is starting from. If you have traveled in these buses or trains, it's like there is a complexity involved too high, right? So when it's better to actually find the path by first of all going by ourselves. Okay, I know the path first. Okay, now I can take one person by motorcycle. Now I can take four people by car. Now I can actually take 100 people maybe by
By a
bus. I can take now thousands of people by the train or a plane. When you actually go with the singular focus, right? It's easy for to work with ourselves first. Forget about the clients, right?
Correct. It's very clear in your own mind on where you are going, what's your destination, how you want to get there, and that determines the success of that journey. Completely with you. Now, in this whole process, you identified yourself as the seller, right? Now, the next big step for any organization is building the right sales team. Like, there are multiple roles that the sales team has, right? You may need a sales development representative to do the cold calls, you need account executive, you need pre-sales if it's a SaaS solution. How do you prioritize hiring for these roles, or how do you recommend that people should prioritize hiring for these roles when they start the sales team?
When it comes to sales organization, the first step before setting up a sales organization is founder-led sales. So founder-led sales, there is a reason it's called founder-led sales. It should be done by founder. It's important founder to figure it out, the map, the path and obstacles, the challenges and the problems, whatever is there on the path, right? Reaching this destination.
Correct.
So once the founder figured out the formula, that's when actually they start building sales organization, right? Otherwise, what happens? The people you hire, they go randomly to random directions because there is no path.
Correct. The
And
founder defines the path on what
right,
to travel to sell the product because he knows the product best.
right, right. Now it's easy to build a sales team. It is not hard, but do you know where how to guide them is the question here. So now, especially when you are actually setting up a sales organization, three things are very important. The first people, actually the first systems, processes in place with the results that we have gotten from the first couple of deals, systems and processes. Then can the second step is right people to scale the systems or refine the systems. Then the third step is tools and technology. Can you bring right tools and technology to enable the system and people to take it to a level,
Correct.
scalable, right?
Correct.
So these three things are quite important. Yeah, I just would like to little summarize: systems, people, then tools and tech, right?
Yeah.
These are the three things.
Got it.
Now, when it comes to systems, you have a formula like a sales playbook. Hey, now I have a sales playbook to crack initial 5 to 6 deals by myself. Now, the people, right? When it comes to people, the first step is an SDR, or you can call inside sales, whatever you label it. Someone who can actually identify the right accounts, especially when we are discussing about B2B sales or enterprise sales, right? So someone who can actually identify the right accounts and then identify the right people in those accounts,
The ICPs.
right? Right, buyer persona, buying committee. Hey, who is the buying committee in this? The third step is someone who can actually potentially close, set up a meeting with them. That is the first step. That can be achieved through multiple ways. That can be achieved through LinkedIn or email or cold calling. So these are the channels that you can actually achieve. The second step can be AE, right? Account executive, who can actually take the journey from giving a demo from the meeting, then till closing a deal, right? So ideally, it's a pod. I would simply, if I have to put it in a small pod, SDR who set up meetings with the right accounts, right buying committee, then AE who closes, and maybe a sales manager or head of sales who can actually run the show and create multiple pods. So once that the pod formula is figured out, right, it's the sales manager's job is to create multiple pods.
Very nice. Once we have set up the sales team, what are the metrics that you usually ask or recommend companies to measure in the first 12 or 18 months of their existence with a full blown sales team in place?
Yeah, I always go with again singular focus. What is my North Star metric? Maybe one primary and one secondary, not more than that. The primary metric is definitely I wouldn't actually set revenue as the primary metric, but what actually really impacts the revenue is the metric that I want to go after.
Interesting.
Yeah, so my primary metric would be the number of proposals we give to the right accounts. And if you see my revenue target this year is $1 million, I should able to give proposals worth of 10 million.
So the pipe should be at least 10x of what your goal is.
Yeah, it depends on the demand for the product. It depends on the maturity of the product in the market, because we don't know whether it's a 5x or 10x or 20x or 100x. We don't know that.
You run a 4-week sales acceleration program. I'm just pivoting into your current digital offering. This 4-week sales acceleration program, what do you exactly share? And if you can give us a peek, people listening to this, if they want to enroll, how would they identify if this is a right program for them?
Yeah, Pamela, I think I've been doing this actually as my part-time gig since last 2 years, even while running my other companies. And I always keep coming back to this particular thing. And this year I noticed that, okay, I had an exit from Hyperly in December. So since my money hit the bank, my mind already started thinking, okay, what should I do next? Officially, this is my fourth company. It's called Elephant Edge. I started in Jan. Again, I follow the basic first principles in setting up a business. I don't go fancy and all. All I need one co-founder who can actually takes care of the operations part. I can actually bring the business, and I need someone actually to take care of the operations like that, who can run that 4-week cohort, right? So okay, what problem are we solving? Why should company like Elephant Edge should exist first, right? If you notice, thousands of SaaS companies actually started in India, but only a very fraction of companies were able to sell in US market in the last 4 or 5 years, because of context is too different. People don't have the awareness how to sell in US market. Forget about how to sell in US market. People don't have the context on how B2B sales works. Before that, people don't know how to sell. Before that, people not sure whether that is the right product to sell or not.
Correct. A cascading impact of wrong absence things.
But every founder thinks that, oh, I'm signing up for Ironman race. Hey, have you run the 5 kilometer race first? Now you're actually thinking about running of 42 kilometers, then swimming, then cycling. So you're thinking way ahead of what you are capable of today, right? So that is the reality when it comes to US sales, right? So, and especially this year, the number of SaaS companies will be at least 10x from India. So because India becoming that AI manufacturing hub, right? So a lot of founders are going to build AI products front end everywhere, right? Every corner they are going to build. But it's very hard for them to actually go to US, spend $20,000 to $30,000. It's not easy to figure it out and get the ROI. So what we are actually doing for them, hey, how can you actually close your sales while you're sitting in India?
Sell your software to people in the US while you're sitting in India.
Right? That is one problem we are trying to solve as efficient as possible. So for companies, how traditionally how SaaS companies are solving it, they hire a sales consultant who can help them throughout the 6 months or 1 year journey, or they go to US, they hire a account executive there.
Correct.
There is no proven method here, right? But today we have access to all the tools. We have the ability to set up that entire ecosystem from any corner of the world. You don't need to be really present in US, but you need to strike the right chords,
Correct.
right? So we are actually trying to set up that system for them to close the first sale. So if I had to say what is my wild promise to the customer, you walk with Elephant Edge for 4 weeks of a time. I will help you to close that first sale.
Okay, that's a tall promise that enablement program is making, but it's a bold promise to make, and I'm sure your company will scale new heights with this offering.
The idea is, can you squeeze that 1 year of work into 1 month? Because otherwise, there is no point of existence of a simple companies with a mediocre promises.
Correct, absolutely. Now, a very nice way to conclude the conversation. But before we end this, Venkatesh, what are your top three advices for any founders who are going from zero to one? That's your sweet spot. That's your specialty. So, what would you suggest people listening to this podcast? What are the top three things that they should take care when they are traveling this journey?
Yeah, but yeah, it's a specific question. Sorry, but if I have to put my number one advice is, yeah, three things I noticed very important. The first one is take care of your personal finance for that 1 0 to 1 journey. Your personal finance shouldn't affect or interfere the journey. Just like how I'm traveling from Bangalore to Hyderabad, you have enough budget for you to travel from there to there. You don't stop the journey because you don't have money. The money shouldn't affect the journey. And most of the time, we blame the products or services or the market. None of them are wrong. We are in a world where you can sell anything. People, there are buyers to buy that. So I don't want to blame myself or product or service or a market. I want to be very clear. Most of the companies fail because of they don't have the good cash flow. I learned it just last year, not right. My first company survived because of my co-founder's financial strengths. He is extremely good. He used to teach me, but I never got it. But when I burned my hands in my second venture, my advisor, I got a little taste of it, but I still didn't learn. But in my third venture, my co-founder happened to be a Marwari coming. Then I saw, shit, what a value you can deliver when you're good with personal finance. And especially myself coming from a background of farmers background, most of the farmers, they mastered the debt management, not money management. It took me almost like 10 years to figure it out where I was going wrong. Nothing wrong with me except the money. I fixed that. Last year, I fixed that. I sold the company. I kept in fixed deposits and mutual funds. And since Jan, things are flowing like in a different way, honestly. Right? And the second thing I would say sales. Now you know how to manage the money. Now you can actually feed this engine with more revenue. So you should be having a good product or one feature or one offering that actually creates money. One offering, one simple offering. It can be a software sales, or it can be even a coaching, it can be a course, it can be a digital product, anything, right? But I don't want to just think like it's a physical store. You are actually keeping couple of products in the shelves, but you should see the product so clearly, why it adds, why people buy it, how much value they get, and how much profit you make. Most of the people don't do that way.
Correct.
They imagine it's a very abstract thinking, right? Isn't it abstract?
Yeah.
Opposite is
They think that it is abstract because you're saying that they don't imagine this whole visualization of a physical store where there is a value that the customer will derive by buying the product, and there is a profit that you make on that sale.
it should be that simple. In thinking coming from a, let's say, if you see in Indian ecosystem, family businesses, right, like Marwari families or Vaishyas or anyone, it's pretty clear. Hey, this is the service I'm selling, and this is how much is my margin. It's SaaS is not different. It's either it's a IT services company or a SaaS is It's no clear. It's there is no different in it. You
Correct.
just need to keep put it in define it. Most of the founders actually fail to do that.
Okay.
What is my offering, and how much is my margin if someone actually buys it?
So cash flows, sales, visualizing sales.
Yes, cash flow first, then you need something to feed in the cash flow. That's the offering, right? Offering. The third step is the sales. You should have the capability to sell this offering.
So define, you have the money, you build the product and you define what problem you're solving with that product that delivers tangible value to the customer. And the third thing is, how do you actually convince the customer to buy the product? So this is a full life cycle of success. Excellent. Now we'll do a rapid fire, Venkatesh, before we let you go.
Sure.
Quick, short, one or two, word answers. What's the best sales book that you have ever read?
Elephant catchers.
Okay. Most underrated sales tool.
Sales navigator, I guess.
Okay. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you mean? Yeah. One sales myth that you would like to debunk.
I think anyone can sell.
Anyone can sell. Okay. What's your morning routine?
I wake up at 4 or 5, sometimes a little early, and I start sending the proposals.
So, despite having successful exits, you should be sleeping now and waking up late. I thought that would be the answer, but you're still on the run. Who's been your most influential mentor?
Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Okay, and why did he influence you? What part of his life influenced you so much?
By being nothing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Pamela. I really love your energy and your drive. Good luck with your journey and podcast.